everyone, welcome back to Haunt After Hours, where we pay tribute to the work, chaos, and fun that goes on behind the scenes. I'm Heartless Heather, and I'm here with Nanny, Janney.
Hey, y'all.
Big Ant.
Hi, everybody.
And we've got a special guest joining us tonight. We're so excited to have the president of the Chamber of Haunters, Miss Kimberly.
Hi, everyone.
Kimberly, we want to know so much about you, but before we get into that, Big Ant, share with us your boo of the week.
Okay, there's several boos this week, actually. Let me explain the story here. So earlier this year, in February of 2025, more than 1,000 musicians gathered together to put out an album. Now, this just recently came back into play about a month ago. Paul McCartney decided to join the group. And let me explain what the album is. This is an album that they have put out. You may have heard of it. That they have put out in lieu of AI. They're protesting the AI stealing their voices and being able to record without the actual artist being involved in the entire process. And evidently in Britain, it's legal for them to be able to take that music, their voices, and do that. So in protest, they decided to get together and put up this album. Now, what is the album, you may ask? The album is an entire album with nothing on it. In fact, Paul McCartney has a 2-minute and 45-second part where it is a studio, the sound of an empty studio. This is what you would get without the artist, is basically their point behind this. Without the artist and the only thing involved would be AI, you would have nothing. So his version is basically an empty studio, and a couple seconds into it, you might hear maybe footsteps coming from another room. You might hear some rustling of paper or whatever, but the entire album is basically blank. Now, I'm not calling Paul McCartney or any of the artists boos. I'm not calling the marketing genius behind this boos. Whoever is buying these stupid albums, those are the boos. And I got to tell you that it sort of sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, because I remembered years ago, back in the 70s, there was a guy, and I brought him up here. Hold on, let me see if I can find his name. Sorry.
He's aging himself.
I am aging myself. Gary Dull. Heather, are you on?
Come on.
Okay. Gary Dull was the guy's name. 1975, he came up with the product you might remember, the Pet Rock. Do you remember the Pet Rock?
Like, I wasn't born in the 70s,
I
but
went back
yeah,
to find
I
out
remember
how many of these albums actually sold, and it doesn't disclose that. No, I could not find an article that would tell us. It's just in the beginning stages, and they said that they didn't have the figures, but it did top out at number 38 in Britain's top 100 list. So that tells you that there are people buying it. Nonetheless, Gary Dull with the Pet Rock actually sold, I'm sorry, let me see here. It says in here, he sold 1.5 million rocks at $4 a rock.
Dang.
So
I think it's time
that.
for someone to make a Pet Rock comeback, like new name.
Right? Right, exactly. Yeah, when he passed away, he was he had a net worth of over $2 million. So I just got to tell you, whoever's buying this stuff, think about that. A Pet Rock, not only are you buying a rock you can pick up outside, but you're paying postage and handling on this stupid thing also.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Well,
there you go.
I love the AI. I know, like, it's much better to pay an artist and all of that, but I've done a lot of projects with AI music, and I love it. I understand, but I use the company that I use, they actually use real voices. The artists record their voices, so you're actually using real artists, but they're not singing.
You're breaking up, Heather.
Oh, am I?
Are you there?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did I break up for you too, Kimberly?
Yeah, you're getting very digital.
I wonder why. Mine is showing full bars.
No, it sounds good.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I was getting at is I love AI. I use Song Oven for a lot of projects. I've done it for memorials. I've done it for weddings. I've wrote a little song for my child. I think it's amazing. But I totally get, like, paying the artist. Like, I don't know.
I feel that AI has its place and it's not going away and it's
Right.
going to do nothing but get better. So we got to get used to that, but we do have to find a common ground because you're not going to have the heart and soul into the music, into the industry at all that you're going to get from a songwriter, from the composers, from, you're just not. So
That is
anyways, I think you can tell definitely the difference between them, especially the way they are right now. But I will tell you that the country music artist Randy Travis, he put out a couple, I think 2 songs, where they actually found an artist that sang very similar to his style, and then they took his voice and skinned it over this other artist, and they were able to put out these songs. It sounds just like Randy Travis, didn't it? But he was involved in the process every step of the way, and that's a little different.
Yeah,
And I
that is
think that's what these guys are protesting.
Now Travis did a whole episode with us about using AI to create your haunt, and that was the first time I'd ever seen like Chat GPT in action. And ever since then, I've been like every day, like, Travis, what's your Chat GPT password? I need to ask it a question or whatever. Like now I use it every day for everything. I actually have the app down now, and it kind of offends me when it thinks I'm Travis, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it is Travis's account, so that's fine. We'll go with it.
And how come you can't have your own?
I mean, then I gotta pay for it. I'll take the free version all day, every day, but then sometimes I gotta. So it's much better to just use my brother's. All right,
Nice.
Miss.
Are you storming there, Heather?
No, there's no storm.
Oh, yeah, he's still getting a little bit of a fuzzy spot.
And hopefully it'll work out. Let me see. Hold on, before we move on to the next segment. Continuously uploading.
Get your tinfoil, hold it in your left
I'm
hand, stick
saying.
your tongue a little bit to the right.
Ugh,
Hold the antenna up.
I know.
Yeah.
Did one of the kids knock your satellite out of alignment?
Oh, yeah, right.
No, I don't think so. It says continuously uploading your high quality recording to Riverside. I don't know why it's doing that. I mean, of all of us,
When-
it's gonna be me that has the issues. That's ridiculous.
So when one of your heathens was jumping from the 3rd story to the 2nd story, they
Yeah.
didn't knock anything out or bounce off
Very
the walls or
possible that
doors?
they did. Oh,
The once it uploads to Riverside after the podcast is over, it'll be all clean and clear.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think if we just roll through it, if you don't hear something for a minute, just pause. It'll catch up. So it'll be okay. All right. Okay, hold on. I'm going to write down this time so that I know to take it out. 8:16.
Well, you say this every episode and you never cut anything out.
Well, now it has a tool. Now the AI has a tool where it says, this sounds like gibberish. Do you want me to remove it? I'm like, yeah, take out the gibberish.
Don't say yes too quickly. It'll just erase the entire podcast.
I had to go through it. Yeah. All right, Kimberly, share. So you are from I know I'm saying it wrong. Chamber of Haunters. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's your role? What do you,
I am the president of the Chamber of Haunters.
and what does
Nice.
the Chamber of Haunters do?
So we basically act like a chamber of commerce for the haunt industry. We kind of connect the dots and where people need help with their haunts, or they need advice with their haunts, or they need education with their haunts. They can reach out to us and we can connect them with the right individuals. And we do a lot of mixers within our industry. We try and do lunch and learns so that people from all over the industry can come and teach one another. And I think it really does give people that are just starting in the haunt industry all the way to those that have had larger haunts. So it kind of connects the smallers to the largers, and it's a way to give back to the community while everybody keeps moving forward and learning, because let's face it, as we were just talking about with AI, everything changes so quickly. We live in a society that technology, you blink and it's changed. So it really is. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell is basically connect everybody together and unite the industry so that people can move forward with their haunts.
So now where are you based out of?
Me personally, I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
We are all over the country. Our board stems from Arizona all the way to here in Florida. We have Texas, Kentucky. We're just all over the place. And it's really, we have a really great board. And I'm very, you know, I feel really blessed because I get to see it from every different perspective. You know, I have people come to me with different issues from across the country, and I have a board member that I can say, hey, can you reach out because it's happening in your area? If it gets very specific, and sometimes it really is very specific. What is happening on the West Coast is not necessarily happening on the East Coast, and everywhere in between. So being able to connect people with and give them advice firsthand and quickly to remedy it if there's a problem or to help them move forward, that's especially when people are going through it and they're in the middle of haunt season. They want to be focused on decorating and the acting and all of that and getting the haunt move forward. But sometimes there's just nuances that come up that can't be helped, and they do not know what to do. And they have somebody that they can reach out to. And it's important for us that we are able to connect them to somebody in their area that can help them through that process.
Nice.
Yeah.
We talk about our issue on the show all the time, but in 2019 we used to rent the fairgrounds in Central California, and we got caught. Not necessarily anything we were doing wrong. It was the fairgrounds and the fire marshal. We were going through the county fire marshal. You're supposed to go through the state fire marshal. So we got caught in the crossfire, and they were coming out at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, blowing the whistle to do fire drill. Like, I mean, we had to rebuild 3 different times that year, but we were so fortunate we didn't have to shut down but it definitely felt like we had no support in our area. We've been in areas where the haunts are super, super connected and like feed off of each other and share passes from one haunt. At the time where we were not in a position that we were like that with the
And we had
haunts in our area.
16 attractions. We had
Yeah.
16 attractions and
Oh, wow.
235 cast members. It was crazy.
That is
And them to come
crazy.
out fire. It was just crazy.
And
And
that's one of
we
the
were
biggest
definitely,
problems that we see in industry is permitting.
Yeah.
And getting the relationships built with the fire
yeah.
marshals and the
Well, that was
purchase.
our third year there. That was our third year in operation at that
We
location.
were actually told when we went to the fair, originally, that they told us, they said, you don't go outside of us. We take care of all of the permitting right there at the fair. They said, we take care of everything for you. We've got it. We're connected with the state that we will take care of everything for you. We'll get you approved. So you don't go outside sources. Well, come to find out, they were not going through the state. They were the ones going through the county. And that became the big rift
Yeah,
of
we
the
just got in.
season.
We just got in the middle of the crossfire. Nothing necessarily we were doing wrong. It was just a miscommunication between people in charge, and that was a
And
rough
then
week.
changed
Oh, I believe
guidelines
it.
and the rules changed statewide.
So when we were finally able to purchase our own property in Chowchilla, we had to move locations, but then we decided no coverage above us, just do through a maze and don't have to even worry about eliminate that problem altogether. So now we do a cornfield, and that seems to work a little better.
Yeah, the second you have a top over your head, it changes everything, dynamics for sprinklers, and it can get very involved.
Yeah. So what got you involved in the industry? Like, how did you become a haunter?
I was involved with a different nonprofit at the time, and I was working with them, and they wanted to do a fundraiser and research that, let's do a haunt. And so I'm like, oh, okay, we could do that. So we started going down this path, and it was just like, you jump into a rabbit hole, and it just kept going. And it was our first year. I realized that it was way more involved with people than I really thought. That I thought it was all about a scary environment, and it was really not. It was so different, and it was an incredible way to give back to the community. And it was really that first year of stumbling around and not knowing what we were doing and trying to figure it out, and it really just stole my heart, and just the people and the fun, and again going back to the kids, and that's really where it started.
Yeah. Our story is pretty similar to ours. Started as a fundraiser, and now I can't even watch scary. I have a 8-year-old that we call him Creepy Cason. That guy wants to watch a scary movie all the time, and I have a hard time doing that. But I just couldn't imagine doing anything else but being in the haunt industry now.
Same.
Like, I have a master's in HR, and yeah, I just like this is gonna be a part of us forever. I don't see it not being. Especially now, my kids have been raised in it. They're like, this is
Right.
their life. This year, we did not go back to our home haunt in California, the first year that they have not haunted in a
Oh,
very like
wow.
their whole lives, and they were just so we they did work for another haunt locally here in Tennessee, and then we were able to check out haunts here in Tennessee. So it worked out. I told them like this, now you're doing the research side of being a haunter. So they liked that.
Yeah, my kids are the same. My daughter, who goes to college in Mississippi, when her first year of being away from it, we were doing an insane asylum, and we ended up putting a camera and a screen inside of one of the children's rooms, and we had her in a Zoom meeting, but it didn't look like a Zoom meeting. She was actually in her closet in her dorm, and we were the way that we orchestrated it was we would find out people's names. Well, we had somebody on the phone giving her people's names, and so she would write their names on a piece of paper and show it on the screen, and people were
I love
they were
that.
so freaked out about it.
Oh
And it
no,
was so
that's so
much fun,
cool.
but it allowed her to stay involved even though she was, many
That is
streets away from us. And it really freaked people. They're like, how does she know who I am? And how does she know my name? And it was really a lot of fun.
That's so cool. So, Janice and Tony, I know that we had some technical difficulties, but she was just sharing. I shared with her how Kason and Corinne didn't get to haunt this year, and they were pretty bummed about it. And she said her first year, her daughter went off to college. She actually still They created a room for her, and she still haunted from her dorm closet. And they put her on Zoom, and she would like put their names as they were walking through.
It
It'd be
was really
scary.
fun. It was so
That's
much
fun.
fun. And she had a great time. But, the kids, when they grow up in the industry, they don't want to leave it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we turned our home into a haunted house this year, but it was hard for them, and they're young. My oldest is 11, and Keaton is 8, and then I've got 2 younger ones, but this is their passion. So I just don't see us growing out of it. If anything, we're just going to get bigger and bigger into it. So.
Absolutely. One of my eldest, the one that I was just talking about, she's in her master's degree program, but she still makes a point to be very active. And then our younger one, she's much more into the artistic side, and she's a great designer, and so she likes to get in there and get her hands dirty and really imagine things and work through the process with us. And so we kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I love that. So, what is your biggest mission as the president of the Chamber of Haunters? Like, what do you do?
It really is connecting people.
Yeah.
I think that education is key. And there's a lot of home haunts, there's a lot of charity haunts that are up and coming, and they need guidance. And so you have a lot of people out there with a tremendous amount of experience and years behind them that could add and give back to the communities by teaching. So my biggest goal is to make sure that everybody has the education. Not everybody is familiar with pneumatics, and that's kind of, a foreign concept to them. And not everybody is used to foam carving, and not everybody is used to lighting. And I, am in a position that I can find those people, and they say, I don't know how to do this, or I went to, and I bought this animated thing and it's not working. And now what do I do? Or how do I make it better? And being able to be in the position where say, I know a guy for that. It's really kind of a very special, unique position to be in, because at the end of the day, everybody who is members of the Chamber of Haunters, and I can say this wholeheartedly beyond a shadow of a doubt, every single one of our members wants to help somebody else. They
Yeah.
are there to advance the haunt industry. They are there to teach. They are there to support. Having that network of people, I think, critical for the industry. And I don't think anybody else knows how important that is. And so as the president, I really enjoy that. That is my mission, is to make sure that if a haunt needs help, if they have an issue, that I am there to make sure that one of our members is there to help them overcome. Because at the end of the day, we all want to have fun. We all want to enjoy ourselves. We all want that moment that when the haunt is over and November hits, there's that depression almost of,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we got to wait how many months till spooky season?
Yeah.
And so if I can create that environment, whether it's a home haunt, a charity haunt, a small haunt, or a large haunt, because some of our members have really large haunts. Some of our board members have really large haunts, and they have a very unique way of giving back because they want to see other people succeed. And if they are able to do that, they feel accomplished. And we just work with a great group of people, and I think that's important for the industry.
So what is your like let's do a shout out to your haunt. Do you have a home haunt or
I
what
do
is your
not. No.
Oh,
I have before, when, as I was saying, I was originally involved with a different nonprofit, and then my husband and I started a nonprofit called FX. And FX was basically stemmed out of the need that we saw through going through setting up these fundraisers, was that there was a huge part of the communities that kids and adults that suffered, whether it was PTSD or autism or any other form of neurological problems. We've had older adults with heart conditions and that sort of thing, but to create a very immersive environment that could be cut in a heartbeat to make sure that they have the fun of going through a haunt, but not necessarily all the scare. A
yeah.
lot of the autistic kids, they want to go through a haunt, but they get overwhelmed. It's a sensory overload.
Yeah.
And so we developed a system that we could cut either certain elements or all elements on the fly and drop actors to the ground, even if necessary. We've done complete tours for kids that were too scared and couldn't handle it, and they turned on the lights, and we've taken them through backstage tour.
Wow.
And we've had autistic kids come through, and we've cut back on the center. And what we developed was called Lantern Protocol. And that lantern protocol is we empowered the kids and we gave them a lantern to hold. And we explained to them at the very beginning that, if you're scared, then you hold that lantern up and the actors will back off. And so the actors knew that if somebody was coming through with a lantern, they
Yeah.
would immediately back off, and the children were suddenly now in control of their environment.
That's a really good.
And so we would be able to go through. We've had like just amazing experiences with that because otherwise they can't. And we've had parents come to us thanking us for that. And that was what our goal was, is to give back to that in the industry to make sure that the kids, and again, a lot of military have PTSD reactions. And it's important for us that that doesn't happen in a haunt. If they're there and
Yeah.
they want to be there and they want to enjoy it, and if we know if something is going to amplify a reaction, we want to make sure that we can dampen that or take it out altogether so they enjoy the experience. So that's how we started our nonprofit. And so now I'm kind of in the unique position that my husband and the board of directors, they've just taken, it's flourishing, and I've kind of transitioned over into the chamber. So I get the best of both worlds. I mean, I love being a part of a community that teaches kids how to build haunts, and that's what we do. We're very involved in the arts community, the theater community, in getting that experience for them. We can give them volunteer hours because in Florida there is a requirement for them to graduate
Yeah.
to do volunteer. And if kids can volunteer at a haunt, oh, they are so all over it.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my experience. It's not necessarily, we do fundraisers still for other groups, and that's kind of what FX does. We're here for our community all over Central Florida.
What challenges do you think haunters face today that the public doesn't really get to see or know about or hear about? Do
I
you see
think
a
it's
lot of
all about permitting. It comes
Yeah.
down to that if you have a relationship with your fire marshals and your police department and emergency services, it's essential, because sometimes you just can't get permits. And depending on the county, depending on the state, every state is different. Every county has different requirements. Even going from one county in Florida to another county, it's night and day for special events permits. And that's one thing that we at the Chamber of Haunters recognizes. And we have what's called a GHOST program, and we do a full certification to make sure that people have the necessary requirements for fire safety and crowd management and permitting and all of those things. And we do a full online class. We also hold the classes once a year at the Texas Haunters Convention. And we make sure that all of our information is updated. We have full handbooks to help them with that. So it's more of a guideline that people can use over and over. to help them through that process. And I think most people when they go in, and I mean, granted, we're blessed. We're in Central Florida. We have Halloween Horror Nights right there.
Yeah.
But we have some really strict, stringent rules and regulations because of that, because we're held to a higher standard in Florida, which I don't mind. I understand it, but sometimes it's really difficult when you're talking about, especially the home haunts and the charity haunts. You're talking about having to shell out money for insurances that people don't understand, the permits, the event permit, the fire permit, and all of that adds up. And I don't think people understand that, when they see the the cost going up, it's hard on the haunts because they have to offset that cost somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't think the general public understand that.
Yeah, it's hard for us having our haunt based in Louisiana was so much easier because minimum wage in Louisiana was so much more affordable than California's minimum wage. And we're a for-profit haunt, so we have to pay, like it's not like we can have volunteers. It's
Right.
have to pay your employees. And yeah. So when you have to charge $50 we try to give them a couple of attractions, but at minimum they're paying at least $20 to go into an attraction. And it's hard when they're like, when a few years ago it wasn't as much,
Right.
like it's not a big jump, but you have to cover the expenses.
You
And
do.
even then you're sometimes we're just scraping by. So
It's
we're,
so true. And I think that's hard sometimes. People just think, well, you're just putting up decorations and we're walking through. It's so much more than that.
yeah, everything, even things you just don't think about, like how many porta potties you have to have out
Right.
and all
Or
of it's
the amount of spaces for parking, or, there's so much good that goes into the planning of an event that most people don't see the behind the scenes sort of work.
now in our haunt, Nanny Janney is the one who does all of the logistic planning. So we just hear about it from time to time, but we definitely feel it when, yeah, I get why I get customers' point of view, like they don't understand why the expenses are going up, but on the business end, it's like, oh goodness.
It's
Things
it's a
just change.
lot. I completely understand that one.
So, what trends do you see shaping and like that? Have you seen anything different that's coming or going? Or a few episodes ago, we were talking with Matt from Haunt Seekers, and we were kind of talking about how paintball was all the rage a couple of seasons ago, and it seems to be kind of fading out. Do you notice that, or is paintball still hot, or do you see something hot coming in? Or
I don't know about, again, with escape rooms. Escape rooms were really, really popular for a while, and they're kind of dialing
yeah,
back. And now a lot of haunts are doing axe throwing, and I see axe throwing coming up. But I think the main focus is going to be on technology and incorporating technology into immersive environments, and
yeah,
a lot more in the way of storytelling.
yeah,
And I think that's what people want, that engagement. People want that environment. And so the other things are just kind of the peripherals, and I think it's fantastic. I've seen haunts bring in, I just saw this season, what was it? They had like a dinosaur sort of exhibit where people
yeah,
were panning for gold and that sort of thing. And one of our board members incorporated this whole big gold mining or mineral mining thing, and it's fantastic, and the kids love it. And so I think things like that add to the ambiance, and again, going back to, they're getting more for how much they're paying. And again, escape rooms were really popular, but I kind of see that is going down a bit. But axe throwing here in Florida seems to be really picking up. So it's again, it's where you are in the country. I think that it changes, but I think the biggest thing we're all going to see is just a extreme force in going forward into technology,
yeah.
and what technology we can bring into the haunts and adapt it. And we have some incredible people out there that are doing some amazing animatronics, and the work is just phenomenal. And so watching that advancement, I think you're going to see a lot more of it.
Yeah. How important is collaboration between haunts? What do you think? So as I was sharing with you a little bit ago, when we first started in the industry, we kind of had a situation where we had started our haunt on property that didn't belong to us. So we didn't own the property. It was my cousin's property. My brother was in an accident. We said, let's start this as a fundraiser. Then we fell in love with the idea, and it was no longer going to be a fundraiser. It was going to be a business. So the second year we were doing it as a business. After the second season, she said, there's just too many people on the property for my husband. He's really nervous. We're going to have to pull the plug on it. We said, "No worries," because we were already thinking it might be better to move to the Turlock Fairgrounds. We were thinking we were all gonna move together, and shortly after that conversation took place, the next day they had a Facebook and a website and everything with very similar name. They just, and it ended up being a whole mess. Like it was a lawsuit over the name. We ended up prevailing because we still have the name, but it was just a mess, right? And so we didn't start off in the industry where we could do ticket jumpers or ticket, or what do they call it, like ticket passes, because our biggest competition was we were in a lawsuit with, right? But now that we're in a new location, I don't know what that sound is. I'm so sorry. Do you guys hear that sound?
There was like a hissing. I don't know what it was though.
Yeah, what is that? Now that we're in a new location, it's a and we have haunters close by. I definitely see it. And when we were in Louisiana, a lot of the haunts would do like park hoppers, and you go from one haunt to the other haunt. Do you think it's beneficial, or you think just kind of stay in your lane, or what do you see is
I
turning?
personally love it. I come from the idea of everybody helps one another.
Yeah,
And I think that when you have collaborations, it's only beneficial because sometimes you have a really big haunt and they're absolutely fantastic. They've been there for years, but then there's this small upcoming haunt that nobody knows about, but they've been mentored by one of the bigger haunts. And
yeah,
so nobody's heard of them. And so you then suddenly form that mentorship and you have that collaboration, and then everybody is benefiting because then regardless of what area you're in, you have one over on this side of town and they send it to the other side of town. And then suddenly you end up with, you have moms with kids in their car, and you make this whole night of it, and you have everybody going from one site to another site, and it becomes like, I've seen people doing their like birthday trails of haunts. And it's a lot of fun for the kids
yeah,
if they could
like
do
that.
multiples. And again, with the cost of tickets for Halloween Horror Nights and such, don't get me wrong, Halloween Horror Nights is amazing. We go
Yeah,
every year. I love it. I can't say enough about it. I know some of the designers that work on it. I'm very fortunate to be able to see a lot of the behind the scenes sort of stuff, and they're amazing. But ticket concerns when you have 10 kids that you want to take somewhere, that's not really feasible to do. But if you can see some of the smaller haunts and you have that collaboration, you're going to get a quality haunt and you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to make a whole bunch of kids happy.
yeah. That was
And
kind of
I
yeah.
think it's really important.
Yeah, I think our stance always from the beginning when we were going through the trials, we on our social media we always put good things out there, like, hey guys, like, we are going to be moving to this new location, but our friends at this other are the old location are still going to be moving on. Please go like their page, because our thought has always been you can benefit, like you everybody they're going to go to one, they're going to go to all of them. If you work together, you can get them to all of them
Correct.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially with haunt and being as long as it is, you can have different weekends and you choose which haunts you go to.
Right.
And I think it's just beneficial. It helps everybody. It unites everyone. And that's why our logo is basically uniting the haunt industry. And
Yeah,
that's why is because of that. It's so important that everybody works together.
if you were to do a haunt tour next year, 'cause if you had two kids that aren't haunting and they were going to do a haunt tour, is there one that comes to mind? Like, what state do you see where it works out really well, the collaborations, or something that,
Well, I
yeah,
think Texas is a really good example.
yeah,
Texas has some really great haunts in it. One of our board members, David, he has a haunt called Afterlife, and he does a lot of tours with schools and such like that, and he does a lot of collaborations. And so I really am impressed with how a lot of the haunts handle themselves in Texas. I really am. They do a great job. They work together. We had a board member, she sold her haunt in Texas, but it's still there. So I really do. And again, I don't know if you've ever been to Texas Haunters Convention, but it's really fun. They'll pick a a haunt on like the Friday night, and you could get tickets to go, and so you get to go with a whole bunch of different haunters, and it's fantastic. But a lot of that you get to see behind the scenes sort of stuff, and then you also get to see go through a full haunted
Yeah.
house. And Texas just does a great job with doing that. And I really would love to see more of it, honestly.
Yeah, we're here in Tennessee. I would love to see something like that in Tennessee, but I haven't seen any kind of haunt passes or even sharing their social medias. And at least where I'm at right here in the middle Tennessee, a lot of them didn't even know the other ones existed, but there's much smaller haunts than like where we were at in Louisiana. So
Well, and I think that's the beauty of like what we get to do with like our magazine that has we feature a lot of the smaller haunts, and again, we kind of connect dots. If you have a smaller haunt and you need mentorship, we connect you with a bigger haunt. And I think that's the benefit
yeah.
of us. So I get to see it in all different states, but I do think that Texas is better than most.
I don't. We have gone to the to Texas Hunters Convention with Primal. I haven't actually gone, but I know Primal itself has gone. But I have not. I've been to Texas many times. I've just never been to a haunt in Texas, so I might have to make that a thing this year to stop in Texas.
Make it a thing. We do a full walkthrough at the convention for the convention, the chamber
Yeah.
does. And it's a lot of fun because you suddenly get to see a lot of small haunts and home haunts. And I mean, again, Trans World's fantastic. I think we all can agree on that. But when you get down to trying to teach some of the smaller haunts and the charity haunts, Texas is it is one of my favorite conventions.
Yeah, I love that.
You will have a great time, I promise you.
When is the Texas convention, Janice? Do you know?
I want to say it's the second weekend of July.
Oh, you do know. You do know. Kimberly knows. Okay, the second weekend of July. I'm gonna put this on my thing, and Janice, sign me up. I will be at the Texas convention this year, so I can learn about this
And you can
Texas.
come hang out with us.
Yeah, I think they're having issues again. Hold on. Are you guys able to hear us?
Yeah, I saw the big hand. I don't know.
I'm so sorry. We've had audio issues, but never like this. So I'm so sorry.
It's all good. I'm probably the best one to have them with because I don't mind.
You're so passive. Yes, I love it. 40 to 47. I just marked these little things down so I can remember. Okay, now we hear you. Sorry about that.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you now.
Oh my
Travis
God.
left us and we had no, like, I'm
This
trying
is-
to wing it.
It's okay.
So we're in the ticket booth and we're kind of far away from
It's okay.
our normal studio. It's not, but we survived. There was so much you were talking about. I was trying to interject her and
I know,
This
seen
part
hands
good.
moving and I kept like getting distracted. I was like, okay, just go with it. Just go. It's okay. It's like it's
He's-
the Heather show, like always.
Yeah.
You know I like it. Just be the
Anthony's
Heather.
about to have a stroke over here. I can't believe we're not Travis. Leave us. And we have 4 computers in there and we can't. We're too
Well,
old.
he had it set up on one. This is what kills me is we had it set up on one, and then he got a second one going. He says, "Use this one. The internet's better." Well, we shut the other one down.
And the internet died.
I'm
And the-
so
and-
sorry. It's her.
Anyway,
It's okay.
All right,
If anything
Kimberly,
go wrong, it
what-
goes wrong with us.
What do you wish haunt owners understood about the business side? Like if somebody's just getting into this, what do you think they need to know right off the bat coming into it? Permitting?
That it's going to become an addiction.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
That they're going to find a passion that they didn't even know ever existed. I think that realistically,
Should I've got to know.
them
It's
having
already
to
in the
come
profile
in
now.
as
Very-
brand new is overwhelming sometimes, but they do it because they love it. They love the decorations, and I think the
Yeah.
decorations is what sucks everybody in. But then it turns around and it ends up being the people,
Yeah.
and then building those relationships and understanding. I think that's what hooks everyone is those friendships. They become family.
Yeah.
Even our charity. I mean, we're a family. My whole board of directors. I mean, we have potlucks every month, and we're always together. And it's because of the passion that we have for the industry. And I think that that's probably what people don't understand. They think it's going to be, a cute little hobby and everything. I think what they don't understand is that there's a group of people out there that they didn't even know that really want to help them and be a part of them and see them grow. And I think that sometimes people don't understand that they're not alone. And it's a reassurance.
I would
And
agree with
you
that.
know, and I think that you can't just depend on, like, we did little home haunt parties and Halloween parties and what have you not when the kids were younger, and Heather put them on when, like, in 2007, what have you not. But when you're thinking you're doing a professional haunt, don't do it 1 year and think, oh no, that ain't for me. Give it a couple of years. You got to give it 3 years.
Absolutely. Well, and I
Everyone
think a
think,
lot of people get overwhelmed. They get in, they start it and have the first year and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it wasn't perfect." And what people don't understand is the people that are going through it, they don't know that it wasn't perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, they
yeah,
don't.
that's true. But
Yeah.
addicting, absolutely, it is addicting.
It is.
Well, I'm gonna circle back to, you had said that haunts are becoming more, you see the direction going to more immersive and more like story driven. But a few years ago, like extreme haunts were all the rage. Do you see more extreme haunts coming in, or do you see that kind of fading out? Like
I
signing
think
waivers?
part of the problem that I see is that a lot of the kids have grown up in an environment that things are not as scary anymore.
Yeah.
They've become almost immune to it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so trying to gross them out or go to an extreme or anything, it doesn't really work.
They
But
see it
if you
all the time.
capture their attention, if you capture them and they get involved in a story and they're so involved in the story and the environment is immersive, then the story is what's going to throw them off because now they're following the story, they're following everything, they're following the character. And then you have these scares that come about and they're not prepared for it because they were so engrossed in the story.
Yeah.
And so I think that kids that have been around again with all of the stuff that we have online, with all of the video games and everything, with all of the movies, they're not as easily scared
Yeah.
with any sort of, pop up or anything like that. So you have to be creative and you have to create the environment and the ambiance that will scare them. I mean, we've had one of my favorite memories was we had a Ouija board. It was our freak show year for one of the fundraisers that we were doing. And we had a Ouija board and we had like a fortune teller behind the Ouija board. And the Ouija board was connected wirelessly to a back room. And we had people in line that would getting people's names. So we knew at least one name of every party that was coming in. And of course it was during like, COVID years when you had to limit spaces and all of that.
Right.
So we had them come into the very first room, and we had the fortune teller there, and the Ouija board started spelling out one of the names in this particular party. And there was a dad there, and he just threw up his hands. He's like, "I'm out. I'm not doing this." And they're like, "No, there's somebody underneath the table. Don't worry about it." And we picked up the tablecloth because it was all wireless. And so it was sending an electronic signal to the panels underneath the Ouija board. Picked up the tablecloth and we're like, "There's no one under there." And he's like, "I'm out. You guys go through." And he went barging through the front doors. And I was trying to control myself and not laugh, but it was one of the funniest moments and all the kids were like, "Come on, Dad," So it was the kids that weren't scared, but Dad was having none of it. And I
Yeah.
kid you not, he bolted out that door and he left his kids standing there and they're like, "We're going to go through."
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, creating that environment, creating, that immediately you capture them in a story and you capture them in an environment. They're so involved in that story that they're not thinking about the upcoming scares. And I think that's what really gets people more nowadays.
Yeah. That's smart. That's good advice. What is like a rule that you wish every guest understood? And if you work with haunts all the time, do you hear something that comes up regularly about guests misbehaving, or you
Well,
have
it's the same old, I think, for every year is, actors don't touch people, people don't touch actors.
yeah.
And it's that same old over and over and over again. And sometimes it's a reaction, and I do get it. Sometimes people will throw their hands up and accidentally hit something or but sometimes they'll get into your face and they'll want that interaction, and that becomes a really difficult situation to deal with. But I think that's it. That's key, and I think it's every single haunt. Don't touch the actors, don't touch the people.
Yeah. What's a rule you think a haunter should know or live by or implement if they haven't already?
Get to know your fire marshal.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably
You
true.
know, your fire marshal's your best friend, because we have in one of the charity haunts that we do, our fire marshal does not like scare houses. And when I say she doesn't like scare houses, she doesn't like being scared. So, but it's required that she has to go through every 2 hours. So all the actors know that she's coming through, and everybody
What
knows that
state
she's
is
terrified.
this?
Sorry?
What state is this? In Florida? The fire marshal has to
Yep.
go through every 2 hours?
Every
Oh,
2 hours they have to go through. Yeah, and
Why?
so
What's the purpose of that? That
to
I mean,
make
doesn't
sure that everything is connected properly and we're doing our jobs
man,
properly. And so
Do you have
I,
to
kid you
pay
not.
extra for that?
that
Sorry?
would
'Cause do you have to pay extra for that? Because if
Yeah,
you
we
have
actually
5
have
or
to
6 haunts
pay.
in a city, you're gonna have
fire
overtime on that
watch.
stuff.
We have exactly. We have to pay for a fire watch, and that's a part of
Yeah.
the fire watch that they come through every 90 minutes to 2 hours. They'll walk
Yep.
through the haunt.
Oh
And
my
sometimes they'll go through with people, sometimes they won't, depending on the county. But, you know, it's so much fun because we know she's scared and we all have a great relationship with her. So the actors all go way over the top, and it's a lot of fun. Build a relationship with your marshals, because that will either make you or break
goodness.
you. And you know, sometimes they'll come out and they're like, "Oh, we know you guys. You guys are doing great." And that makes all the difference in the universe, is having those relationships. If you don't, you know, you're probably going to end up with a higher bill.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we've done that too. But I want to add to that. I think when you said for the haunters, I was thinking when you asked the question more of the cast members, and I think with our cast members, we have to tell them the 3-second rule. 3 tries, 3 seconds, you're out of there. Otherwise, we have
Yeah.
some cast members that like they'll follow somebody all the way through, and we're like, just until you're scared.
they always want to find the weakest link, which is usually the easiest to find, and they will torment that weakest link. And I think that at some point becomes
Yeah,
a little
give them a good
trying.
scare and
More
get away.
annoying than scary. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you don't want to make it so that they don't want to come back. I mean, scare them,
Yeah.
kind of get out of the way. But if you're going to follow them around all night,
yeah, that's
you're
right.
never going to see them again.
Had that happened. And so here's a fun fact for you that most people don't know about me. I cannot stand being scared. I don't like it. I don't.
Funny.
It is not for me. So when I've gone through haunts, and I'm the easy one to identify, and
Uh-huh.
I've had that happen in which I finally at the end, you know, I turned around and said, "Hi, I'm Kimberly." And you know, I've like introduced myself and put my hand out there, and they have no idea what to do. And then they're like, "No, no, she is way too scared." So I do agree with that if you're following them around, you end up making a friend in
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
If money was unlimited, not an issue, what attraction would you build tomorrow?
Oh my gosh. My husband would probably buy a 10,000 square foot building, and we would have a fully immersive haunt. That, I mean, no doubts in my mind. I mean, I would say, "Hey, honey, guess what? We won the lottery." And
Yeah.
and there would be a building right there that was like the most perfect thing, and it had, you know, walk-in freezers so that we could freeze people to walk through,
Love
and
it.
you know, a completely environmental adaptive building is exactly what we do. That was 100% immersive, and I could guarantee you I would lose my husband. I mean, he would be forever grateful, but I would lose him because he would be in that building 24/7 building something.
Do you know the gosh, I can't think of the business right now. It's going to come to me. I'm so sorry. But they're twins. They're the twins and they do the special effects props. They're from New York. Goodness.
New York or New Jersey?
Oh, I thought they were from New York, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
Hold on. I see them at every convention we go to. It's going to come to me. They build the they're famous for the autopsy guy. You pull the guts out of the autopsy. Anyways,
Oh, I know who you're
okay.
talking about. I'm drawing a
Um,
blank on the name.
so they have this. I don't think money is an option for them. I think that they're pretty well off, but I don't know. But they have this idea. I wish I could say it was my idea, but I was so excited that I was hopeful that we can make it work out where they were building this idea at our property in Chowchilla, but didn't end up working out. I don't think we ever got back in touch with them. But their idea for this immersive haunt, they want to create like a campsite, and you're actually like coming to the campgrounds for the weekend and getting tormented all weekend.
cabin,
Oh my gosh.
Do you see that?
cabin.
When they're explaining it, they have all this passion in the world. But again, for those who don't know, like I am not the secret keeper at all. Do not ever tell me a secret, and don't ever tell me not to tell anybody, because I will say it to the world. I'm just not good at secrets. But they had
It's not
shared
me
with
you got to worry about. It's all the people I tell.
yeah, but they were like, "Oh, well, don't share this with anybody." And I was like, "Well, don't tell me that, because now I got to tell everybody about it." And like, but I tell people that up front, like, please don't ever tell me something I can't talk about, because I'm a horrible secret keeper. But I thought that was a fabulous idea. I don't know in our area that people are complaining about a $50 ticket and they're getting 6 attractions. I don't know that we would get, like, I don't know what it would be like. I think Southern California it would sell like crazy. So I think it just depends on the area, but I'm
Well,
really
you see, I
excited.
think to that immersive environment, I
Yeah.
think that people would, in fact, if you're talking about having somebody stay on site and being tormented, I don't know what the laws would be
Yeah.
allowing that.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about that, that's what people will pay for. It's just like paying for a trip to Disney World. You have
Right.
people that were going to pay for a hotel. Well, this is a completely immersive environment that they're going to pay for. And I think
Yeah.
that's really where we're trending. That's really where we're going, is
Right.
to
That's
that
kind of what
that
you're saying.
that level of storytelling, that level of environment, that it is so encompassing that you lose a lot of your senses and it
Yeah.
overcomes. And I think that's where we're heading.
Now, my understanding with this, it wasn't like sign a waiver. It's not like a, what were we calling that? Like extreme haunt. It wasn't like that. It was like they get an itinerary while they're there, so you can't fire at this time, but things are happening all through the night, So like we have one, I haven't, speaking of escape rooms running out of style, a few years ago, we did purchase a mobile escape room, and one of them is it's actually called Stabbing Cabin, but now that I'm in Tennessee in the middle of the Bible Belt, I can't advertise it as Stabbing Cabin as easily as I could in Louisiana. So we call it Cabin in the Woods. But the idea behind it is you've rented the serial killer's cabin, and you have to rented a cabin. News breaks that there's a serial killer on the loose, and you got to put together a phone and contact the local authorities before the serial killer returns. And occasionally on one of the TV monitors, it looks like a window, and you'll see the serial killer pass by. And it is really an immersive escape room, especially for being on the back of a trailer. And it did sell a lot better a few years ago than I'm having right now. So I do agree, escape rooms are kind of like, I think they'll still be around, but
Oh, I do
they're not
too.
hot as they were, for sure. But when they were telling me this, I'm thinking of this escape room, and I'm like, you're gonna be like in a camping in an escape room, essentially. I would be, I think I would pay for it. I think diehard haunt enthusiasts would pay for it, but I don't think that the everyday Chotchilla family would pay for it. Like, I think it's going to be people that are that are into that will definitely travel even for it. We had people from Italy travel to our haunt. So like and specifically for the haunt, like, not just happen to be there
for
and
the zombie
bid for
games.
minutes.
Yeah,
No, and I
you don't
agree
think
with that. But I do think that given the opportunity, and that would become more popular.
Yeah.
That's how I
I think
feel,
that's
just
definitely
because
down. Like they
people
I
would
want
think
that.
you could hit the I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think you could hit the bridal shows and offer it as a honeymoon package.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Well, they
Well,
do that with like
maybe
paranormal.
bridesmaids
You
or
could spend the night in like haunted areas, like with paranormal. So it would just be a haunt.
Yeah.
Or
Our haunt every year has had, every year since 2018, we've had a wedding at our haunt. Like, it's been a thing now. It started out, somebody wanted they wanted a stalk me down the aisle event. And that's just been our thing ever since. Like, every year we're like, we're going to do a stalk. And people like will sign up for this date. One year we did elopements and just did a couple of them through the thing. It's been kind of cool. All
That's
right.
this
neat.
year
I
the
like
bride
it.
was 3 hours late.
This year the bride was 3 hours late. Yeah, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to change the rules up for the future events. Well, no more cast members getting married. That's our problem, is with this year we allowed cast members to take the stalk me down the aisle date, and maybe not the best idea. All right, we're gonna change it up a little bit, and we're gonna play a little game, and it's called Haunter Hot Takes. And you guys are just gonna do a quick. This is how it's gonna work. I'm gonna go down a rapid fire statement at you guys, and you respond agree, disagree, or if you're really passionate about your stance, you're gonna say fight me. And that's just like the hill you're willing to die on. Like this, you're passionate about it. All right. Animatronics are replacing actors too much.
Agree.
they're replacing actors too much. Is
Yeah.
that what you said? I don't know. It depends because I can think in situations where they need to be where you can use the animatronics and be fine.
Mhm.
But
What about you, Janice? Agree, disagree?
No.
This is supposed to be rapid fire, you guys.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry. I'm just having it because our
what?
haunt has changed, and
Yeah,
we at one time we had a lot.
yeah.
We
I'm
needed more actors, so
We're
I'm
I think we're
thinking.
relating it too much to our haunt instead of the industry. So let's
right.
Yeah.
try this again.
Yeah, I think my personal take is if we keep going to AI. Last week, Tony had mentioned something about robots. That you can, if down the road we got these robots, then
Yeah.
maybe the animatronics would
Right.
fill in the spot as a human. But I definitely think we still need human actors. I've gone through haunts that are just animatronics, and it's just not the same as the
It's not.
live human element.
I have to wait. Animatronics and the build team and the actuators and that gets really expensive. And we
Yeah.
had an issue this year, and I know I'm talking about our haunt, but let me just tell you, I did one of the funniest, smartest things I've done in years. And we pay our actors, and the zombies get paid a little more. And people beg, like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, shooting zombies or paintballs going out." But we have people begging for our paintball attractions, and we had 3 that were really infamous. People traveled all over to do them. And this year we didn't have any except for on one night. Well, I said, "Dang, I don't want to have to pay because our insurance just to run that was like 7 grand." And I was like, "I don't want to have to pay the cast members." So I went and ordered a bunch of blow up dolls, put them up to the air compressor, put one up to the air compressor, see if it worked. It was $15. And then I called some of the girls, and Alicia and Sarah came in, and they dressed them in some of the scarecrow clothes, and we put them out in the field, and people enjoyed. Like, they got the biggest kick. We had one person say, "Where's the real zombies? Where's the live zombies?" Because we've always had live zombies out there moving around. One person, everybody else came back laughing and just absolutely loving it. And I saved thousands of dollars just in one night by buying.
Goodness. It would be cool if
That
you
was
had it
better
on
than
like little
I just think that was
actuators where
better.
they
Right.
transform.
Yeah, it was better than the animatronics.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
my point to that is too, like, okay, I'm going to use our exorcist room that we used to have. So we used to have this room where it took 3 people to run the room because you had somebody who was who was possessed. They were on a bed, and the bed was always in the middle of the room. So the customers had to walk around the bed, and then there was a priest or whatever was in there was blessing this person. And so as you're focused on the bed, they don't notice behind them there's a picture frame. Well, as they're focused on the bed, that picture frame falls and out comes another cast member. And I'm just saying, an animatronic could have taken care of that
Yeah.
position.
Right.
And we could have ran in that room with 2 people instead
Right.
of 3.
Right.
So do I think yeah, maybe in some instances, but that's an
Well,
instant.
yeah. We're not saying should they be getting rid of. It's just saying, like, are they replacing them too much? And I just
Yeah.
think you need them. You need
Right.
both. Like, you just
Right.
need.
There
Well,
has to be a balance.
we
Yeah.
went to a famous pumpkin patch, and they have a haunt that is not really that good at all. But that's the problem, is every corner, if somebody was supposed to be there, it was an animatronic, or where the human was supposed to be, they were never in their place. I felt really bad for this location.
Yeah.
You can't run a haunt solely on animatronics, I don't think, and charge for it. I think that you have to have the cast members, that's for sure.
Right.
There is a big one here in Pigeon Forge, or I guess it's in Gatlinburg. It runs year round, so maybe we just went when it wasn't in October. Maybe it's different in October. We went through it like March or whatever, and it was all just animatronics, and it's just like I paid $35 a ticket, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So no, I definitely think we need live
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
can't
right.
replace it. Okay, how about should cell phones be banned completely? Like in escape rooms, some escape rooms they'll take your phone, they lock it in a box. Do you think that should be a thing with cell phones?
Yes.
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 See, I'm opposite. I like that they get the footage that we don't get, and I like going through at the end of the night and seeing, like, I like the content that other people are creating for.
Sometimes it's fine, but the problem that we originally had with it was we would have people go through with GoPro cameras or whatever,
And the whole
and then it's out there on the internet. There's no surprise for anybody who's
Yeah.
coming through, and that bothers me. So.
Yeah, that's true. I see both sides of it. So we have implemented a rule like the haunted house, they are not allowed to have any cell phones, but when we're on the hayride, I'm like, go
Yeah.
for it if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. but we want, like, it's like if you want them to use their social media platforms to help showcase that you're there, but
Right.
also you don't want to give everything away. So
Correct.
yeah. but- how about, I think that we've talked about this before, but chainsaws, are they overused?
No, I think as long as they're still doing their job, I say yes, keep
Yeah,
them.
I agree. I
People
kind of
like
think,
them.
yeah, you'll miss if you run it without one, you miss it. You feel like you're
Yeah.
missing something.
You got to listen to your customers. They love that.
Your haunt needs a storyline.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm going to say yes. Even if it's just a cluster, it's like ours is House of Dystopia, so we have different positions, but they're all phobias.
The Bloody Lullaby.
The
that's
Bloody
good.
Lullaby, I thought was one of the most awesome houses that we ever did.
Right. And
Your
then-
hayride has had a storyline that was pretty awesome for a few years. Then
Yeah,
through
that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting to that. You said haunted house. We're getting to the hayride.
if you're no, let's see. Okay, guest behavior has gotten worse over the last 5 years.
No, I disagree with that.
I think it's been the same. I don't see it worse. I think it's pretty much stable.
Yeah. No issues that you've heard of as far as like, so when we first opened, we had somebody, this was years ago. We've been open for 10 years. We had somebody pretend that they lost their keys at the end of the night. We had to go through the whole entire haunt. Come to find out they never lost their keys. They just want to walk through our haunt and start stuffing props inside their backpacks and their jackets. Then we happened to catch them in the act as our whole staff is helping them look for keys, and they're just filling their bags up with all of the projectors and stuff. It was crazy.
They
But we
got
have
away
nothing
too.
with that.
They actually took off, and they got we called the police on them,
Sheriff's good.
and they caught up with them in a McDonald's drive-through and cornered them in the drive-through. Got our stuff back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, cool.
What about blackout nights? Do you think that haunts should have blackout nights?
I don't like them.
Yeah, take them or leave them.
Yeah.
A lot of haunts do them.
So-
We've never done them, but
Our competition used to do it every year. They would do one night, blackout night, and I just, to me, if you do your haunt right, I want to show off what I've done. I
so
want
it takes away from
people.
the art of it for sure.
In
Yeah.
fact, I think our haunt sometimes is too dark. I really think that I'd rather light it up a little bit more and let the cast members do what they do.
I think it's part of the show.
I think so too. Yeah.
This is let's see. The best actors are quiet ones. Okay. The best actors are quiet ones who get in your head.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't know because we got, I think there's two sides of that coin, because the ones that are always entertaining that come up and talk a lot, I like them as well. We had the witch that would stay in character through the midway. I think she did a fabulous job, and I loved her. But then I also see the ones that are just, we had one this year. In fact, he was a scarecrow and he didn't say anything. He just walked around.
Tons of people
And-
asked to take his picture.
Yes. And he was
And he
very
was actually from the
eerie.
hayride.
Yeah.
We had a plague
Encouraging
doctor, and it just scared the living daylights out of everybody because they never said a word because they were in full mask and everything. And they were dressed from head to toe in black, and they were always in kind of, like a creepy spot. And they never
Oh.
jumped out at anybody. They just stood there, but they would move and watch, and it would always freak them out. So I think
Yeah,
that's
I feel like that
fun.
is scarier sometimes than the jump scare.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want somebody following me the whole time I'm at your
Right.
haunt, but yeah, the eeriness is definitely
Well, do you
something.
remember the first year? What's it? The first year we were in Turlock, and Brandon was he wasn't even part of our cast at that point, but he dressed up as a scarecrow or something. I don't remember what, but was it scarecrow? And he just went on and sat on some hay bales, just sat, and people were trying to figure out if it was real or if
Or
it was
not.
I love that. I love that. Face paints beats masks most of the time. Do you like the makeup or the masks?
I think it depends on the environment.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes you can't beat makeup, but
Yeah.
other times if it's, you have something that's completely unrealistic and you need that, then the mask, so it really depends on the theme of whatever the haunt is at that moment.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
we've
you're
had
paying
some
more for that
really,
mask than you are for the cast member, so it just depends
yeah,
too.
but it's a
Yeah.
one-time purchase. But the thing
Yeah.
is that though, we've had some really good paint artists at our haunts
Right.
before. They've done really, really fabulous jobs. But I feel like as a haunt owner, it's so much quicker to just, if somebody, because here's the problem. A cast member will never show up ready to go. They
Yeah.
will always show up and will have to put their makeup on. 15 minutes already into the haunt, they're still putting it on. Whereas if you have the mask as a haunt owner, throw it on and get into position. Let's go.
Yeah, just
We're
get
ready. Right?
rolling. Yeah.
It can blacken your eyes. Blacken your eyes. Let's
So
go.
I say mask.
How do you see that in the industry as far as like, do they set designated times for makeup, or is it like, do they show up mostly in their makeup already? If it's not, we don't have makeup artists that necessarily do everybody's makeup. It's kind of like
We had
some
that
are
one
good at
year
doing
and it
makeup.
wasn't worth it.
Yeah. But do you see a lot of haunts, are they better because they have makeup artists, or what is your opinion?
Personally, I mean, I think the ones that are really successful are the ones that, have very strict timelines. So if
Yeah.
they know that they have people that are going to need makeup, their report time is way earlier, because
Right.
one, they're going to show up late, and then you have to account for that. And then you have to account for somebody having to be there, to do their makeup. And so there's a lot more time that is invested in that one actor.
Yeah.
So they have to have a much stricter policy when it comes to that. And I think the ones that are really successful in it are the ones that do have that strict policy that you're going to show up, or you do have the ones that'll say, well, no, I'm going to do all my makeup and then I'll be there. Ooh, that's great. But,
Yeah.
if they show up late, then you're back into the predicament of just what Tony was saying, that, then you throw on the mask and get in there. We're already behind schedule.
Ours has kind of been like a bonding experience. Like our actors will bring the makeup and then they'll show up early and they'll do each other's makeups or whatever. But we will provide makeup for them if they think that their character needs makeup. We have lots of makeup kits that we'll provide for them, but we don't necessarily hire makeup artists. But we will provide masks. If you can pick, at the beginning of the season, you can pick makeup or you pick masks, um, and then they can kind of go
The
from there.
only
But I think it's
one
a
of the
bonding.
problems that I feel with the makeup though is so one of our rules is we're pretty liberal as far as this is your character. You make it what you want to make it. So we don't really dictate, okay, well, you're a witch. This is how you got to dress. This is how you got to act. This is how you got to laugh, whatever. You make it how you want to make it, but it has to be approved. The outfit has to be approved. The mask, the makeup, whatever, all has to be approved. So the problem that I found with the makeup is that we will approve them on day one because they'll come full set up, ready to go, wanting to impress. And by mid-season, they're barely putting makeup on, or it's blood all over the place. The go-to is blood, and I just find that just too much.
Right.
Every room you go into, it's all bloody. I don't like that. So
This
This year
last
was
couple of years during our interviews, we started implementing the question during their audition. If you were going to create a character that had no blood, what would your character be? No blood or gore, just to see like their different ideas or whatever.
their go-tos.
Yes, and we've had lots of great things come from that. So I think that that's a question that we're going to keep in our interview process for sure, and
right.
use those characters. Okay, so every haunt has an actor who disappears for half their shift. Do you agree or disagree? Or is it just an us
Yes.
problem?
We haven't had that problem.
She's
Oh,
a,
it's definitely
I
an
don't,
us problem.
she's like,
No,
I
we
don't know
did stuff.
anyone who does.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. But then again, the vast majority of when we do the charity hunts, we work with a lot of volunteers, and they want to be there for their hours for school
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be, and they're very dedicated to whatever the
Right.
charity is, because we do have, whatever charity we're working with, they have to invest in being there and being a part of the actual haunt. And so it's in their best interest to not wander off.
Yeah.
Right.
Ours
We
are
had one this year
should
that
be in their best interest.
Yeah, we thought she was going to be a great actor because
we
one of our better actors.
Yeah, we had one this year that they actually found asleep in a tent. We have a tent in
Oh,
one of our
no.
scenes, and she went into the tent and fell asleep.
She was 3 scenes away. Her scene was, and then when security was, she had done this several times, and security was finally called, and he like kicked her. She wasn't moving. He's flashing his light on there, and she's like, when she woke up, she's like, "I'm not sleeping. I'm just cold." He goes, "Are you sleeping?" She's like, "Who ratted me out?" Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry" or whatever.
Was there an issue? Like, was there drunk?
No,
Was there
No,
no,
I
she,
probably we don't know, but
um,
the funny thing was when she come payday, she wanted to know why her check was short.
oh goodness.
because you weren't in spot.
Isn't it crazy? Okay, actors, if you're listening, if you are contracted or you're hired hourly, like be there. It's a real
Right.
job at that point. Be there for your
Right.
real job. If you are a volunteer and you've committed, be there, show
Right.
up, like do your thing. Okay, guests scream louder in groups of 3. What do you think? I guess just real quick, what do you think is the happy medium for groups to go through the attractions?
As far as like
So
how many people
how
at one
many?
time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
Um,
think 4.
go ahead.
I think I would say 3 to 5. I wouldn't say any. First of all, if you're less than 3, it's a little
Yeah.
awkward. I
Yeah.
feel. I feel that you need that synergy between people, but anything more than 5 and you're losing the attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our success is usually in that 5, 6,
Yeah.
and especially if you have a bunch of teenage girls, definitely 5 to 6.
Right.
Yeah. I think that I agree with you a lot. Like if you have less than 3, it's the you it's we it gets awkward. And
I
then
think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you have but yeah, obviously you can't send people in groups of 3. I don't know if haunts do that because you'll be in line all night long. So I think
Right.
6,
Right.
5 to 6 is good. Like send them through.
Yeah.
We had one haunt manager one year and we was like, "Dang, I thought the line was 2 hours long," and I look over and it's gone. And she's like, "Oh no, I just started sending them through." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know that we can do that, but it worked. Nobody complained, so maybe she was onto something." But
No,
we
I
always
don't.
think we have to wait a
I think
little.
you got to give your cast members time to
Reset.
reset.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel.
yeah. But she told that she got on her thing and she goes, "You're gonna be here until 2 in the morning, or you want to get this done?" And I don't know. I didn't walk through that night, but nobody complained. I was waiting to hear it, and we didn't hear it. So people
I
who
get some
say you
work.
can't scare me scare the easiest. Do we agree or disagree?
Yes, I'm gonna say uh, I think you take it as a personal challenge at that point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Teenagers are the loudest, but adults are psychologically easier to wreck. That goes with the story that Kimberly just
Yeah.
shared, dad and the Ouija board. And I feel like if I would walk in and they're spelling my kid's name out on a Ouija board, we would all be out. I would not be leaving my children in that either. I don't know.
I feel like Heather'd be out there real quick
Yeah,
and saying to me, "Go back and get my kids."
right.
That's true. I'd send somebody else in to grab my kids, you're right. Slow walkers cause more haunt problems than drunk guests.
No, you think so?
Sometimes. Just so-
I will say the last since we've been here in Chowchilla, we haven't had many drunk
Yeah.
guests, so we
Yeah.
haven't had much problem. So I think in our case, slow walkers, yes,
The
but
slow
I think
walkers.
in haunts general, I don't know. When
But
we were in Turlock, I would have taken the slow walkers over the drunks any day.
But I'm
Mhm.
guilty of that. Like when we go to the haunts, like I want to see, I don't scare so easy, so I expect that. But I want to see, we don't have that big budget. And some people have, the $1 million budget and they have a lot of
You want to
props
see
and
everything.
that they have.
Yeah.
And if it's really worth it, because sometimes you go through so fast, people aren't looking, they don't see.
I've gone through attractions where Janice, where she's asked the cast member, "Can you do that again? I paid for my ticket price. I want to see that again,
Just-
please."
Oh my gosh, that's annoying. Don't ever do that.
Yes, it is.
Don't
yes,
do that.
I'm
That's
now I
embarrassing.
changed my answer and I'm going back. I'm going with slow.
I agree. That's
Let's go back to
We had some-
guests have changed. Like, yeah, the annoying guests or bad guests. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna say
This is a good one.
that's what
because,
makes you a bad
we've had
guest.
them where they've been chained to the wall or they have I can't think of those straps and they fall from the wall, but they're still attached. So they're not going to get hurt. We have those. But this one came like from a ceiling and I just wanted to see how the mechanism worked. Like it was pretty cool. It was better than Bobby flying over or Robert flying over the hayride trailer in the barn at the fairgrounds.
Again, the behind the scenes stuff. You want to know. You want to
Yeah.
know.
Right?
Yeah.
When we were in Louisiana, there was a haunt every year that did a behind the scenes tour. And yeah, I guess like you just don't really think that the general public is interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of haunt enthusiasts that were like, how do you do that? So
Universe is really good about that. They have, it's called Behind the Screams, and they do a full lights on tour of their houses. And you could choose between 3 houses or 6 houses, and it takes about 6 to 8 hours to go through. And so if you've never come to Florida and you've never done it, you really want to.
Yeah.
Because see a lot of the different mechanisms and the different ways that they do things, and just on an extreme professional side of it, which let's face it, they are. It's a full-on movie set in their houses, but you'd be amazed how difficult it is because those tickets will sell out. And they
Yeah.
have ongoing tours from, I think they start at the end of August and go all the way through November.
That's crazy.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
we paid to do that one year. I can't remember where we went, but we paid to do that or signed up to do it. Now, I don't remember if we paid. Yeah, we did. It was a big disappointment. Not at Universal Studios. It was another location. And it was kind of disappointed because we had to wait in a line for 4 hours.
Oh
to-
no.
to-
That was during Trans World and they addressed all of that. Like this is not us gossip. Like this was but yeah, that was we paid for the behind we did pay for it and it
but we
was
did,
That was-
it
That was
wasn't,
Six Flags.
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like ourselves and some other haunts that we've been to had just as good and some better tech and
Yeah.
lights and
And that
like,
was
I don't
not
think we
any
anything.
fault of Trans Worlds. It was just what something going on with that location for whatever
Right.
reason.
Right,
Yeah.
I can say it wasn't all black plastic, so we, you know, you have
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think of that. I just ended up
But I'd
leaving
love
it
to see
riding the ride.
Universal Studios. I would love to see that because
So I'm
You would
super
have so much fun. They do a great job of it, honestly.
I'm very, very cheap. Like I'm not one that spends the money for the fast passes typically, but I did go to Hollywood Horror Nights and the one at Universe is there's one oh the one not Scary Farms or in Cody took us Cody one of our cast members and director Gary who is also one of our hosts for Haunt After Hours. We went with him last year and he is so bougie. He's doing the extras for everything. And I'm so glad I went with him because had I not gone with him, I would not have paid for the extras for anything. And we did, and I mean, we had behind the scenes, front line, skip the line, all of the extra things, the meals, everything. And it was amazing. Like I'm just so glad that
Great
I went with him.
experience.
If I'd gone any other way, I would not have I'd be sitting in lines for hours. I'd be like, this is ridiculous. Like if you can swing it, always do the upgraded stuff for sure. Like, don't be cheap like me.
right.
All right, Nanny Janney, share with us your paranormal story of the week.
Tonight, I want to take you to a place where the fog rolls low and the air gets colder than it should, and something or someone is said to wander along after death. This is the true San Francisco legend of the White Lady of Stow Lake. Our story begins sometimes before 1906 earthquake. A young mother, beautiful, gentle, proud of her baby, decided to take her child for a stroll in Golden State Park. It was an ordinary morning, calm, quiet, safe. She pushed her baby's carriage along the path near Stow Lake, the kind of walk countless people still take today. Along the way, she bumped into a friend and sat down on the bench to talk. As the conversation drifted on, something terrible and unexplainable happened. When the mother turned to check on the baby, the carriage was gone, vanished. Not tipped over, not nearby, just gone. Panic hit her instantly. She screamed for help. She ran along the shoreline of the lake, calling her baby's name frantically, searching the paths, the bushes, the water. Witnesses say that the last they saw of her alive is when she rushed into the lake fully dressed, desperate, terrified, and consumed by the thought that her child was somewhere beneath the surface, and she never came back out, and neither did the baby. Since that day, for more than 100 years, people have reported seeing her, a pale woman dressed in white, wandering in the lakes. Sometimes she appears dripping wet. Sometimes she looks like a normal woman. Sometimes she gets close enough for you to see her hollow, sunken eyes. Visitors say that she asked one heartbreaking question: have you seen my baby? Walkers, joggers, park rangers all have claimed to see her come gliding along the path, only to vanish when they look twice. Others say they've heard her soft cry by the water, and a few have reported seeing a woman walk straight into the lake and disappear without a ripple. Now, you may wonder, is any of this real? Historians have tracked down an original record of a drowning mother and child. The problem is, most early records of the park were destroyed in the earthquake of 1906. Police documents, coroner reports, personal files are all gone. There were suicides in the park in the late 1800s. There were unidentified bodies. There was at least one report of a baby's body sighted in the pond near the lake, but it was never found. No one can prove who the White Lady was or if she existed at all, but the sightings, the encounters, those haven't stopped. Maybe the truth is buried somewhere in those lost records, or maybe the story lives on because the white lady still walks the lake, trapped in the moment she lost the thing she loved the most. So if you ever find yourself at Stow Lake, and the fog settling thickens and you feel like someone is behind you, don't turn around. Because some
Mhm.
people believe she's still searching, still wandering, still asking, have you seen my baby? This is the legend of the White Lady of Stow Lake, one of San Francisco's oldest and creepiest hauntings. And we'll
Ugh.
have more stories like this. I want to share what was it in that write-up that Travis had done for me real quick. There was actually 3 different reportings in the early 1900s. One was a guy driving a group of girls, and this aspiration came out of nowhere and tried to stop the car looking for a baby. And they reported it to the cops, or to a police officer stop outside the road. There is documentation. The police officer told him to take me where you seen this, because he actually thought it was a woman, maybe lost or trapped or
Yeah.
something going on. So,
Looking for help.
and the other ladies in the car, they were terrified and they wouldn't go back. So the man went with the police officer back to where it was sighted. So there's record of that report, but there's no record of any findings after that. There's like 3 different records of where it's been reported in the early 1900s, but not a follow up on it. So it's really creepy.
Of
But
people
they
having
even
to
now, even now, people,
see
monthly
it.
report
That's
sightings
creepy.
of her out there. It
Do you
gives me the
think now
chills
it's
when I think about
reported
it.
because it's like a tale, so people have to know? Like, that's what I worry about with these kind of things. If it's been around too long, now it's like a legend. And like we used to have
Right.
a gray faced kid in the party barn. I was there when my 5-year-old made up the gray faced kid in the party barn, and we had people from all over come and find the gray faced kid in our play loft. Like, like, so,
And there is newspaper. You can actually look it up yourself. There is newspaper articles on this tale. So it is.
mm,
It almost makes me feel like I want to take a stop and visit,
yeah.
take a
Go
stroll.
take you need to take the haunt seekers to
Yeah,
go in the
yeah. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. When he makes it
His way
in
to
his route that he's
California.
going to come to California, absolutely. We have
Yeah.
quite a few places we want to take him to, even locally to the caves or the tunnels here.
Have you had any paranormal experiences, Kimberly?
Actually have
Me
when my and I wasn't really like into any sort of paranormal anything, but when my grandmother passed away, my whole family's in Ireland, and so when she passed away I wasn't there, and there were 13 grandchildren, and all of the grandchildren were there when she passed away except for me. And so I went over when I got out of school, and it was, I think I was 16 at the time. I went, and my aunt, said, okay, we'll go, and, you can say your goodbyes at the graveyard and tomorrow and whatever. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I could smell tea and soda bread. I'm like, well, somebody's up, and I couldn't sleep. And so I got up and I went downstairs and nobody was there. But there was a smell of like freshly baked soda bread. And I'm like, this is crazy. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to sit here, and because I know somebody was making, because the teapot was on, and I smelled bread even though that the oven wasn't on. And so my aunt heard me downstairs, and she came down and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, somebody woke me up because I could smell somebody was baking bread. And she's like, no, nobody's baking bread, Kimberly. And I'm like, no, well, look, the teapot is on, so like the kettle's on, obviously somebody. And she's like, didn't you turn it on? And I'm like, no, I did not turn it on. That's why I'm here. I came downstairs to figure this out. And so we stayed up and we had a cup of tea. And she's like, I'm going to call the priest. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's exactly what you and I would do at 6 o'clock in the morning. But, hey, I'm in a different country. Let's call the priest. And he came by, it's not like 8 o'clock in the morning. And the house still smelled like soda bread, and God knows how many cups of tea later. And so he said, he came by and he's like, well, you were the only one. She's probably just coming to say goodbye to you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Ugh.
And he's like, "Well, are you gonna go say goodbye to your nan today?" And I'm like, I think we are. And she's like, well, we were gonna wait until her uncle came into town. Well, the next night, the same thing happened. We all woke up to the smell of soda bread and tea. And my
Oh wow.
aunt got me up and she got me dressed, and she's like, we are going down to the cemetery and
That's
you're saying
awesome.
goodbye. From that day forward, I absolutely did believe in paranormal experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in them. I just cannot entertain them at all because I just don't. I don't want to be. I'm 90% of the time by myself with 5 children. I am not interested in having to fight off by myself. I do
Right.
have a husband, but he's in the service and he's gone a lot. So I just am
You
not
probably
interested in
shouldn't
dealing
say
with
that.
that. So, well, nobody knows where I live. I mean, I feel comfortable in my neighborhood. Like I have no problem going next door to Donna's and telling her when I'm scared, but then she's got a witch next door. She swears a witch lives in her attic that so I
What?
And her
don't
husband comes
yeah.
out and shoots snakes in front of all the kids
Oh my god.
10
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, Donna thinks she's got a witch. I mean, I thought a witch is like a human, like me and you, and then we do witchy things. But she has in her heart of hearts, there's a witch that lives in her attic, and she'll hear her moving around sometimes, and she'll hear her coming down the stairs sometimes, and she drops things on the. I don't. I'm like, well, I would consider that to be like ghostly activities, but she's like, well, no, it's not a ghost, it's a witch. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of that before, but. Yeah.
So that's probably not the house you want to be running to if you're running from ghosts.
I'm just saying, like, if people hear, like, oh,
Oh.
Heather's always home alone, I can go there.
Oh.
No, don't come here because my neighbors on both sides will shoot you. I don't know that I will, but one of them will. Like,
If your mom's there, she will.
Yeah, just know that your dad and your mom carry. So if we're there, we're
and my husband, I just don't. I don't. No, I'm an easy target. No, you wouldn't even have to break in actually, because 90% of the time everything's unlocked. So if you want to steal something,
Okay, you're gonna cut this part out.
So that's not the direction you want to go. Throwing it out there.
You're gonna be a ghost.
No.
In a couple of years, we're gonna be talking about Heather's ghost because she
I
left all her
know.
doors and
Well,
windows
with the
open.
doors unlocked, the witch from the attic could come and move into her place.
Right.
You know.
that's funny.
All right, Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's
Before I
my
let you go, we're trying to grow our show. This is our 4th season, but we're just starting to get to where we're interviewing a bunch of people. And so if there's anybody in the industry that you could recommend for interview, who would you recommend?
You know, I would say go ahead and contact my husband because he has a very different perspective than I do. Because he is all about the 501c3 charities.
Oh, yeah.
And so having most people don't understand the hardships that come with those 501c3s, and they are very different beasts than the regular haunt world. So if you're looking for something different, by all means, he's a force.
Good. What's he doing next week?
Yeah, yes.
You can contact him, and I'd be happy to text you his email address.
Yeah, it's been.
Because
All right.
otherwise, it'll be like she put one more thing on my agenda.
Right.
It's good that you do that because sometimes spouses just think that you can do all the things and keep adding to your plate without even telling you.
Really?
Yeah,
It's time.
no. And he's really he does a lot of financial work with the different, the aspects of being a 501c3. He's been very involved in multiple different charity organizations over the years. So it's kind of like his focus, and it's where his passion really is. But most people don't understand it really is a different beast when you're talking about haunts and what charity is in the haunt industry. We're membership driven. The Chamber of Commerce is membership driven, and we provide services for our members. But if you're talking about an actual charity haunt, that's a different beast into itself. So
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I'll be getting your husband's email address.
You are a haunter out there. If we are haunters and we want to learn more about becoming a member of your chamber, how do we do so?
you visit the chamber website, www.chamberofhaunters.com, and all of the information. Although I'll be honest with you, I'm revamping the website. We're going to relaunch it on January 1st, and it's going to have a lot more of our programs, with our ghost program being focused for the certification for different haunts out there. Again, what I touched on, about the permitting issues, the fire safety, crowd control, crowd management, that sort of thing. Also, all of our lunch and learns with our different people from industry that are going to be coming in, and we're going to be doing live seminars on a platform that people can join in and learn different techniques, learn different aspects. And we're going to be doing those at least once a month. So that'll be all on the website itself.
I love
Nice.
that.
Yeah, the
That's
website's up right now. I'm just tweaking it. We went through elections, and so we have new board members and we have new programs, and so it's trying to get it all up during haunt season was a little bit much, but now that we're kind of past that, I mean, that's I think what I'm going to be doing this week over Thanksgiving is
Nice.
updating the website with our web guy. And so again, we have so many wonderful people we work with. We have marketing professionals, we have insurances, we even have attorneys that look after all of our haunts. That if there's industries that come up, we get discounts. We even get discounts for insurance for all of our members. So
great.
there's lots of different things. It's just I've got to update the gosh darn website.
Nice.
All right, friends, if you are still listening, we're going to ask that you follow us on all of your social media platforms. If you have anything you'd like to share, send us an email at hauntafterhours@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on the show. In the meantime, let's stay connected, and remember,
Do it for the haunt.